Greetings, friends. I am Vitaly Portnikov, your host and guide for today. Israel recently struck the port of Hodeidah, which is controlled by Yemeni Houthis. This port is used by the terrorist organization to prepare and launch attacks on Israeli territory. This first military strike by the nation of Israel on the country of Yemen was in direct response to a drone bombardment of the city of Tel Aviv, one of which managed to completely destroy a residential building located in the very center of the bustling Israeli metropolis. The strike on Hodeidah is yet another demonstration that the war in the Middle East continues to expand and further escalate even more. The Houthis have previously attempted to restrict shipping in the Red Sea, and the USA had to form a special coalition in order to effectively and successfully limit their activities in the region. And now, as we can see, the strike on Israel has effectively expanded the front for the Jewish state. But the military potential of the Houthis is far from exhausted. Reportedly, the terrorist organization is receiving support from Iran. Tehran indeed uses the Houthis as another one of its proxy armies in the Middle East, alongside the Hamas organization in the Gaza Strip and Hezbollah in Lebanon, actually. However, the Houthis can be an effective proxy army also because they do not share borders with Israel, making it much harder to stop their aggressive actions due to their strategic positioning and their geographical remoteness, which complicates efforts to counteract their movements. Moreover, the concerted and coordinated efforts of the coalition, which was formed by Saudi Arabia and the United Arab Emirates, to liberate Yemen from the Houthis, essentially ended in failure after the terrorist organization's relentless and devastating attacks on Saudi Arabia's vital oil rigs and critical infrastructure, causing significant damage. However, besides Iran, the Houthis may have another potentially significant, influential and powerful ally, Vladimir Putin's Russia. The Wall Street Journal claims that a Houthi delegation has already visited the Russian capital and discussed the possibility of arms supplies with representatives of the Russian military and political leadership. Why does Putin need the Houthis? This is related to recent threats and warnings from the Russian President Vladimir Putin that in response to the permission granted to Ukraine to shell the territory of Russia with advanced Western weapons received by Ukraine, Russia may take its own actions with a so-called asymmetric response, which could involve various military and non-military measures. And this asymmetric response may be related to the supply of various weapons and equipment to those groups that are ready and willing to fight against the Western countries and their allies. And of course, the Houthis are the first organization in the region that can count on such significant and unprecedented support from Russia, which includes military, financial, and strategic assistance. If the Houthis start receiving the latest, most advanced and state-of-the-art Russian-made missiles from Moscow, and if Moscow indeed offers Tehran to significantly bolster the armament of this terrorist organization, then of course there will be a significant and potentially catastrophic threat to shipping in the Red Sea, far more serious than before, and a more significant and potentially catastrophic threat to Israel, far more serious than before. But such an escalation of the situation is exactly what Vladimir Putin wants. We could already see that the tension in the Middle East, which has been growing steadily, is an important argument for the Russian president in his ongoing confrontation with the West. This sustained tension provides Putin with strategic leverage. As many political and military observers and military experts believe, the possibility of strategic and tactical cooperation between Russia and the Houthis is potentially one of the significant and critical factors preventing the USA and other Western countries from agreeing that Ukraine's ability to use the highly advanced and sophisticated Western weapons and military equipment it receives to counter Russian aggression at its discretion and in a manner it sees fit. Western politicians constantly talk about considering such a possibility. From a logical standpoint, it is clear that if Ukraine does not have the ability to destroy Russia's military arsenals within its own territory, the war of Russia against Ukraine could indeed literally last indefinitely, and the USA would have no real arguments to force Vladimir Putin to come to the negotiating table and end this war. However, who would present these real arguments? Joseph Biden or Donald Trump, for instance? Nevertheless, concerns that the Middle East, a region already fraught with complexities and historical tensions, will be destabilized due to Russian efforts, turn out to be a much more serious argument than the desire to end Russia's war against Ukraine and help restore peace in Europe, a continent that has seen its fair share of conflicts and strives for stability. Putin absolutely understands this perfectly. He is completely aware of the trump cards he holds and has absolutely no intention of giving them up. It is clear that the Russian president has undoubtedly already seen how the start of the war in the Middle East, following the Hamas terrorists' attack on Israel, has significantly changed the entire configuration of global politics and dynamics, and, one could say, pushed the Russia-Ukraine conflict to the background in the global arena. Precisely because for Putin, this particular conflict is a primary conflict, and due to the fact that for him, the restoration of the Russian Empire to its former glory is the main political task in the upcoming years, he believes that he can easily and effectively blackmail the United States of America and various other Western countries by causing significant and widespread instability in the Middle East. And the Houthi drone, which tragically killed an innocent civilian in the city of Tel Aviv, serves as a compelling and strong argument in favor of considering possible new actions by the Russian president, Vladimir Putin. After all, if we are already seeing a serious escalation of conflicts in the current situation even before the supply of Russian weapons to terrorists from Yemen, with the Houthis strike on Tel Aviv and Israel's strike on Hodeidah, one can only actually envision what will indeed start happening in this volatile region if the Houthis indeed receive Russian arms. What will be the fate of the Red Sea and the possibilities for cargo transportation in this region in the near future, and its impact on the economic and logistical aspects of surrounding regions? And what will be the fate of the security situation for Israel itself, even if the Jewish state manages to reach a truce with Hamas and Hezbollah and explore the potential ramifications for regional peace and security? And on the sidelines of this new exchange of strikes, Vladimir Putin and Ayatollah Khamenei are indeed rubbing their hands, the main beneficiaries of the new policy of killings and destabilization. Thank you, friends. Stay on this channel, subscribe to it, and support it.